Chapter 9. Late payment on an open account. What letter should I use to delete a late payment? This is an impossible question to answer without more information. Not all late payments should be handled identically, and credit repair is not one size fits all. You want to read and compare all three of your credit reports before you fire off any letters, because if there is a discrepancy with one of the credit bureaus, it may work to your advantage. Let's look at some scenarios so you can see which one might be the closest match to your own. Scenario 1, perfect credit except for one late payment. If you are an A-plus credit person with one late payment on a credit card or loan, then that one blemish penalizes you more severely than the person with multiple negative issues throughout the report. Especially if the late payment is within the last 2 years, that is the most damaging. If the late payment is false, then get proof to show you made it on time. Proof could be a copy of the front and back of a check. The back of check is needed to show it was canceled and not a new check you wrote today with a back date, or a copy of your bank statement showing the withdrawal of the payment. Make a copy of your document and send a letter to the credit bureaus to get it deleted. If you do not have documentation to show that the late payment is false, then there are multiple ways you could handle it, depending on who the creditor is. If the creditor is a retail store that you have been shopping at for a long time, then you are a valued customer, and they want to retain your business. In that case, you could write a sincere letter, not one that looks like a template, to the creditor and ask them to remove the late payment. If they deny your request, follow it up with a phone call. On the other hand, if the creditor is Capital One, then forget about asking them for any grace or a favor. They are so big and have received so many thousands of letters asking for grace as well as letters claiming they weren't late when they were, that Capital One has a set-in-stone policy of not deleting a late payment. It's my opinion that challenging the late payment with the credit bureau instead will give you the best chance of success. If you can't decide who to challenge regarding the late payment, then you can start with the credit bureau. If that is unsuccessful, then challenge with the creditor next. The rule of thumb is credit bureau first, creditor second, unless there is a reason to go to the creditor first, such as you are a long-standing customer of a certain store, and there is one uncharacteristic late payment. Scenario 2, late payments during the COVID pandemic. If you have multiple late payments, the first question is, why? I will share some insider information with you. When a mortgage loan officer pulls a credit report and sees late payments on several different accounts, the first thing they do is look at the dates. If a person has late payments on their car loan, their student loan, and their 2 credit cards the summer of 2020, the first thing we're going to think is perhaps they were ill with COVID, or their job was impacted by the pandemic. If this is the case, then the CARES Act may have prevented the reporting as late, and there might be legal cause to bring that up. Scenario 3, late payments in general. As I explained, when a mortgage broker or loan officer sees multiple late payments, they look at the dates for more insight. If the late payments for the various loans and credit cards all occurred in the same time period, they might ask, what happened in October 2018 that caused the late payments? If the underwriter asks for a letter of explanation, then a good reason should be proffered along with a statement pointing out that your credit has been back on track and paid perfectly since that time. I belong to a network of mortgage professionals from all across the United States. It's a place where we can ask questions, get advice, and help one another with client scenarios. One day, a loan officer said that she pulled a credit report with over 30 late payments, which is extreme. Eyes got wide and eyebrows shot up. But then she went on to say that the late payments were due to a medical emergency, and immediately, there was an outpouring of compassion. I was proud to be part of the group of mortgage brokers and loan officers in that moment. If your late payments were due to circumstances beyond your control, don't be ashamed. Bad things happen to good people, and we all understand and want to help. One time, I asked a client who had applied for a home loan why he had scattered late payments all across his credit report. His first answer was, I wasn't paying attention. That is not an acceptable reason to put into a letter to the underwriter, so I dug deeper. What was going on that caused you not to pay attention? I asked. It turned out that his wife was pregnant and had a medical emergency that put her in the hospital. But then months later, when the baby was born, there were other complications. Like any loving parent, they spent their time in the hospital, which resulted in a loss of business and income for the family. Prior to that, they moved from Tennessee to Washington State, a circumstance that resulted in late payments. The takeaway for you is that sometimes you need to go deep to figure out why you placed a low priority on your credit during a certain time period. Then, you can set emergency safety measures in place, such as having medical insurance and a savings account. It's important to examine the reasons for your late payments to prevent being late in the future. Here are some safety guards you can put into place to help keep your payments on track in the future. Set up automatic payments to go out at least 3 to 4 days before the due date. Set up payment reminders on your cell or computer. Manually check your automated accounts. A payment may fail to occur when the due date is on a federal holiday or weekend when the bank is closed. A major cause of an unknown late payment is the annual fee. Place a reminder on your calendar and manually check to ensure you have the funds in place to pay it. Have medical insurance. Additionally, maintain enough liquid cash to cover your annual deductible so you don't have to go into credit card debt for the deductible. Build an emergency fund. Your favorite hobby item going on sale is not an emergency. If you're a chronic shopper, stop looking at the things you love to buy. That might be clothes, shoes, jewelry, electronic devices, or even luxury yarn. Stop parading all that temptation in front of your eyes. You might need to unsubscribe from some newsletters and groups to accomplish your financial goals. Consider it a temporary sacrifice to reach a worthy goal. If you are currently late on a credit card or loan, you cannot challenge past late payments on that account until you first get caught up and establish a pattern of paying on time. Look at it this way: who's going to believe you weren't late last year if you're late this month? The exception is when you have proof of payment with a bank statement. You cannot challenge a past late payment if you are currently, or very recently, late. Guidelines to help with success in deleting late payments. Please note the subhead says, to help with, because there is never a guarantee of getting multiple late payments, for which you have no proof of payment, deleted. Hopefully, your account has a low balance, and you pay off the balance each month, which will also improve your chances of success. 1. If you have late payments on several accounts, dispute only one account per credit bureau at a time. You can dispute a late payment on a Macy's card with Experian at the same time you dispute a late payment on a Target card with TransUnion. But do not dispute both Macy's and Target's late payments with Experian at the same time. 2. Your letters should be both professional and polite. You will not gain any favors by threatening or shouting in all capital letters. Remember, you are asking for a favor here and want to win them to your side of thinking. 3. Use a friendly closing to your letter, such as "Have a nice day," with appreciation and respect, "Thank you in advance," or similar. It doesn't hurt to open your letter with a nice greeting too, such as "I hope you're having a good day," or "I hope you are well." 4. When sending a letter to the original creditor, the store or lender you opened the account with, you are allowed to request information or request an investigation. However, you do not request debt validation with the original creditor, because they aren't required to provide it. Validation is only for an account that has been sold to a third party, and in that case, you need to request it within 30 days of receiving the notice. If you don't take action within 30 days, they assume you accept the debt as stated. If it has been more than 30 days, you can still request debt validation, as many people do, but you can't sue in court if they fail to provide it. You can check with a local attorney for your state-specific law. This is not legal advice. I am not an attorney. 5. For letters to the credit bureaus, make sure you have completed correcting your personal identifiers with all credit bureaus, as per Chapter 5 before sending a dispute letter, then send copies of 3 to 5 identity documents with your letter. Double-check that the ID documents show your name and address correctly and they all match. 6. For letters to the credit card companies, do not include a copy of the credit report in your first dispute letter. Do not write out your entire account number. Only include the account number as it shows on the credit report, which will have some numbers replaced by X's. You are not going to aid them in their investigation against you. If you don't receive the response you want and they say they are retaining the late payment, then provide a screenshot of your credit report in your second letter. This gives you a good reason to write again, because you now have additional information to present. It's possible that your second letter will be read by a different representative, which could also be in your favor. 7. Keep a copy of all correspondence. You can easily do this by setting up a file on your computer. You can also take a photo of your letters with your cell and keep them. Be sure to implement this step. Some credit repair businesses do not tackle open credit cards with late payments. However, sometimes there is success. You will never know if you don't try. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, as the saying goes. It's been proven by credit repair businesses that including several pieces of ID helps obtain the deletion. There's no such thing as too much proof, so if you want to send a copy of your driver's license, utility bill, rent/lease agreement, and another bill, go right ahead and do that. If you don't receive the result you want after the first attempt, be assured that is not unusual. The professional credit repair experts don't get discouraged or quit on their clients just because the first or second letter failed to work. They wait 30 days and then send out a different letter. This next approach is the information saturation strategy. You now send them a fat envelope stuffed with your dispute letter and pages of exhibits. You have probably seen court cases in movies or on TV where the attorney presents photos and documents as exhibits to prove the case. You are going to reference these exhibits in your cover letter, and then you are going to write Exhibit A, Exhibit B, and so forth on each document. Exhibit A will be your identity verification, such as a driver's license. Exhibits B, C, D, E, and F will be 5 months of bank statement pages showing the withdrawal to the creditor. Each of these months must show an on-time payment, obviously. I am not saying the months must be consecutive, so choose to your advantage. Considering the fact that the credit bureaus outsource to third world countries and the fact that these representatives are under pressure to process many disputes per hour and per day to meet their quota, exactly how thoroughly are they going to review the exhibits? Or might they say, this is a pile of proof. I don't understand how to read all this stuff, and I don't have time to figure it out. I'm going to delete the late payment and get on with the next letter. The surprising reveal, date errors. This strategy is beloved and utilized by top credit repair experts, but is mostly unknown to the general public. The reason this issue doesn't pop out for consumers is that you are looking at 3 different credit reports, one at a time. Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion all send you their separate reports. Not many people spread them out side by side and meticulously compare the dates. If you did, you might be shocked at what you see. Here is a real example from a credit report that shows a creditor reporting different information for the same month. I ask you this, how is it possible for your Home Depot/Citibank card to be 30 days late in June with Experian and simultaneously be on time with Equifax? It is the same account. It is impossible to be late and on time in the same month. Also, we see for Experian, the payment is 30 days late in August but on time with Equifax. It is 60 days late in September with Experian, but only 30 days late with Equifax. And so on. The credit pros send a letter to Citibank stating their reporting is erroneous and misleading, therefore, the late pays must be deleted. They include the snippet or screenshot that they title Exhibit A on a separate page. Citi might counterargue the discrepancy is because they report on the 5th day of the month to Experian and on the 30th day of the month to Equifax. But that doesn't overrule the fact that their reporting is misleading to anyone who reads it. The pros stand their ground and demand deletion, sometimes through a follow-up call on the phone if the initial letter did not work. A credit report is not supposed to be misleading to anyone who reads it. Here is another example, taken from a real credit report, this time with First Premier Bank, a subprime lender that doesn't like doing anyone a favor, in my opinion. How can the account be caught up and okay in July and August with Equifax while being 60 days late in July and into default with Experian? It makes no sense. It is impossible. For the letter to Citibank, I went to their website and looked at the mission statement. I strongly suggest you go to your creditor's website and look at their history and mission, then pull out something complimentary you can quote to them. It never hurts to begin with a compliment to put someone in a positive frame of mind. Never be too lazy to do a better than average job and impress someone. Date discrepancies on closed accounts. If your closed account has date inconsistencies, first write to the credit bureaus demanding deletion of the entire account, as per the previous chapter. If needed, the second step would be writing to the credit card company or lender, the same as explained above. Account balance. An open credit card does not show today's balance on your credit report because the creditors don't report to the credit bureaus in real time, nor do they report daily. Your monthly payment and balance are reported once a month, and each creditor chooses which day that is. They might post on the 5th, the 20th, or a different day. You can find out by calling the customer service number on your account and asking. Therefore, an incorrect balance on an open account does not mean there is an error. The monthly update probably hasn't happened yet. You'll want to check again later. Coming up next, what about the goodwill letters people talk about? Do they work? If so, what's the secret to making them successful?